There is so much helpful parenting advice out there. So much that makes you go, oh, that's definitely going to help. It's going to make me a better parent. It's going to increase the quality of my connection between myself and my children. I need to do this. And Instagram, TikTok, and the other social platforms are some of the places where you get that advice. But my goodness, there's some bad stuff out there as well. Not helpful at all. And today on the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every day, because we're Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast, Kylie and I are going to walk you through our three, what would you call it? The three pieces of parenting advice that we're going to ignore forever and teach our kids to ignore and hopefully help you, encourage you to ignore as well. Stay with us. So, Kylie, I'm going to get you to kick it off with your first one, and we're going to go like you, me, and let's share the three things each that we think we should be ignoring as parents because the parenting advice is terrible.
So my first one is the whole myth that controlled crying is an opportunity for babies to learn independence through distress.
Yeah. No, bad idea. Controlled crying is out.
Fundamentally misunderstands how attachment works.
I've got to jump in really quickly. I spoke to somebody just the other day who was all for controlled crying, and I asked them how old their child was, and it was like a 3-month-old child or something like that. And I was just like, I'm totally against it. But even if you are going to do it, research in this specific area is actually quite clear. There's not a lot of good research on controlled crying, letting them cry it out. But there is clear research that if your child is under 6 months, you don't do it. It's bad for the child, full stop, end of story. Just don't. I just wanted to put that in as a public service announcement. But anyway, back to you. So there's a reason that you don't like it.
Well, when we ignore our baby's primary form of communication, what are we teaching them? We're teaching them that they don't matter. Like it breaks my heart. And I can't do it. Yeah,
and we've been there and we've been through it, and it's pretty brutal, isn't it? Like a really, really rough thing to do. Kylie, my first one. Mm-hmm. My first one is that timeouts teach consequences. Mm-hmm. I've been on a personal mission to eradicate Super Nanny's "you need a timeout" thing from the Parenting Resource Manual for about 20 years now. Timeouts are essentially punishment disguised as pedagogy. That is, I'm trying to teach you something here, but you know what they do? They prioritize adult control over any learning and relationship repair. When you put a child in timeout, you make them into the victim, and you make yourself their enemy. The only learning that happens is they plot revenge. Like they learn.
I was about to say, like, who in their right mind thinks that getting their child in trouble and then isolating them is going to create any positive feelings in the relationship?
I'm glad you used the word isolation. So Dr. Daniel Siegel, who wrote The Whole Brain Child, he highlights that isolation during emotional distress actually impairs the developing brain's capacity for self-regulation. And if there's no self-regulation, there's not going to be any learning. Children, when they're struggling with their behavior, they don't need banishment. They need connection. They need problem solving. They need someone to help them to understand their feelings, not just suppress their behavior. So my first one is let's just not take any advice. Parenting advice that I'm ignoring. Timeout is good for kids. Not true. I can't believe I just made that noise. All right. What's your second one?
Number 2 for me is responsiveness spoils your child. This advice, it just treats love like this finite resource.
Oh, you're spoiling them. You're giving them attention. You're going to spoil them.
Yeah. And I think that the idea that giving our children attention is actually going to do them damage is so far from the truth. It breaks my heart.
Yeah, I think it's like this old-fashioned traditional concept that if you spoil your child, it's basically saying your kid's naturally manipulative as opposed to your children are naturally seeking connection and security. To me, that's the central thing there. You are not spoiling your child if you give them attention. They need your responsiveness, would be my response to that. After the break, my last 2, including what to do about tantruming children. Apparently, if you ignore it, it'll stop. And the myth that we're supposed to let our kids learn to self-soothe. And I know you've got a classic that you might read about in Jane Austen. Okay, Kylie, you've got one piece of parenting advice that we've decided that these things just need to be ignored. There's so much good advice out there, and yet the bad stuff persists and prevails all too often.
You say ignored. I say abolished.
Okay, abolished, ignored. Anyone who does this needs to sit in the naughty chair for, how old are you? 40? No, that doesn't. I thought that was really funny. All right, here's my next one. Just ignore the tantrum and it will stop is parenting advice that I think needs to be thrown in the dustbin, and we need to come up with better solutions. What do I mean by that? So research shows that kids who receive empathy when they're emotional learn to develop better emotion regulation skills than kids who are ignored, which makes sense, right? Like if you're having an outburst and somebody comes to you with a little bit of softness and validation and says, you're having a really tough time, aren't you? Or you're really upset, aren't you? It helps your system to reset and recalibrate all of those stress hormones, all of that adrenaline and noradrenaline, all of the cortisol. It all subsides because now you feel connection and you feel security. You feel empathy. It just feels good. Here's my analogy. If I've got a friend who is distressed, I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to go to them and put my arm around them and say, you look like you're having a really bad day. I'm here for you. I don't understand why we think that abandoning children in their most vulnerable moments teaches them anything except that our love is conditional. So that one goes in the bin. Just ignore the tantrum. It'll stop. What a load of garbage. We need to consign that to the annals of parenting history. What's your last one?
You teased this as being something you'd find in Jane Austen, and yet it's still prevalent in today's society, the idea that children should be seen and not heard. And I would think that often most parents would actually push against this idea that they support it.
Right.
But the reality is,
in
practice, we hate it when our kids push back. We hate it. We call it disrespectful and we call it backchat, right?
We just want compliance. We just want the kids to do as they're told, be quiet and make life easy.
But what we actually do is when we silence our kids' voices and we don't allow them a safe place to work through their emotions and their questioning, their curiosity around this and their pushback on it, we're actually teaching them that their opinions don't matter. And that
ignoring their voice.
To ignore their own voice and to never question authority. Yeah. Just because someone's in a place of authority doesn't make them right.
We need to teach them to be respectful when they push back. I mean, we've just done a podcast about that on Monday. Kids need to be considerate, and all too often they're clumsy in the way that they push back. But I just love that. I think that's exactly right. And a little bit less Jane Austen because it's 2025.
Yeah, the goal isn't quiet compliance.
Yeah.
It's raising humans who can think for themselves, think critically, and communicate clearly.
Okay, I love it. Here's my last one. The advice that's out there, I hear it all the time, is that kids need to learn to self-soothe. All right, so you've got a child who's emotionally dysregulated and they need to learn to calm themselves down. The reality is, it's really helpful if they can. But when you've got a 4-year-old who's having a tantrum because they got the wrong color mug or bowl, or they didn't get what their brother got or their sister got, and they're having a tantrum, they're not going to learn to self-soothe in that moment. And the time that they're most likely to learn to self-soothe is when they have a parent who's willing to pause, be in that tough space with them, and show them how it's done, to co-regulate with them.
I'm so glad you used that word because that's exactly what I was thinking. We're not actually supposed to do this on our own. We're actually supposed to do this.
I was going to say that and I went on my tangent. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Co-regulation is how we do it. We catch other people's calm. We catch other people's peace. We catch other people's love. And it's not about codependency. It's acknowledging that when we have big emotions, we just need someone to see us.
Yeah, I soothe myself way better if I'm emotionally distressed when I spend time with you. Or if I'm emotionally distressed because of you, which happens very, very infrequently, I soothe myself better when I get to just be in the company of others.
And sometimes you don't even need them to do anything or say anything.
No. We are ultra social people. In fact, just talking about this now, it reminds me of so the guy behind attachment parenting, that parenting style that you hear about from time to time, Dr. Alan Shaw. His research on attachment shows that emotion regulation develops through thousands repeated experiences of co-regulation with caring people around you.
Yeah. You think about you're having a bad day You don't want to be around anyone, but somebody you love pushes you out the door and says, come on, we're going to go and do something. 9 times out of 10, you have the best day ever. And not because you've talked about anything particular, but you've gone through a co-regulation process together without even knowing that that's what you've done.
Yeah, I just had a thought about that, how you have to have the repeated thousands and thousands of experiences of co-regulation so that you can learn how to do it. Expecting a child to calm themselves down without first learning how to and being shown how to with somebody else, how it feels to be calmed, is kind of like expecting them to learn how to read without ever having been read to. Just doesn't happen. Anyway, they are my 3 and your 3. So 6 parenting ideas, parenting advice that we are ignoring forever and ever and ever. And we really hope that our kids listen to this podcast for the rest of their lives so that they can learn how to not do those things. We really hope that you like that. Jump onto Facebook and tell us, what do you reckon? Jump onto Instagram and let us know. What do you reckon is the best parenting advice that should be ignored? Sorry, what is the parenting advice that should be ignored? I got that round the wrong way, hun.
You did.
Yeah. What is the parenting advice that you're ignoring? We want to know on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Jump on there now and let us know. Tomorrow on the pod, I'll Do Better Tomorrow. It's where we draw life lessons from all the mistakes that we've made as parents. Hopefully we can give you some good advice tomorrow. I can't wait for that one. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides admin support and additional research. If you would like more information about making your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au. And if you've loved this pod and you reckon you know someone that might benefit from it and use it to make their family happier, click the share button and spread the news around. We love how many new people are finding the Happy Families podcast. See you tomorrow.